Welcome to Forex Daybreak, a daily podcast where we cover 8 Forex pairs and give you our view on the market direction for these pairs. If you are trading Forex market, this is the #1 show to start your trading day. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Good morning everybody and welcome to Forex Daybreak episode 14. In this daily Forex update, I will give you my view on 8 Forex pairs I analyze using Elliott wave principle. My name is Ville Vainio and today is 26th of August 2015. Show notes for this episode can be found at ForexDayBreak.com/14. This podcast is recorded also as video and is available at ForexDayBreak.com. Now let's get started. Markets were quite a lot calmer yesterday. There was volatility, not so much in the currency markets, but in the equity markets, stock markets around the world were somewhat volatile, not as volatile as on Monday, of course, but still the volatility overall has picked up, and this is probably the start of a bigger turmoil on the market, so quite an interesting time to be on the markets. Okay, let's dive in to the Forex market, and first is EURUSD, and we have seen a decline yesterday and then quite a big move up. This is still slightly unsure if we are in a correction or is my analysis correct. I have labeled the latest high, which were at 117,124. I have labeled that as the end of larger correction, and we should see a move down next, a final larger 5-wave structure to the downside, and below the lows we saw earlier this year. Let's see on the daily chart. The low that was 104,616 approximately, 104,6. That low should be taken out when the next larger move down starts and reaches to those levels. We are now at 115.23 right now, and hard to say if this is looking bearish or bullish. I would not necessarily put any trades still on this pair. I would like to see more confirmation on the downside move until I would enter short. My wave count is proposing that this has turned down, so I wouldn't go long on this neither. Key levels on EURUSD are that the resistance seems to be the 161.8% Fibonacci level, which is at the 116.09, and the support level on the downside is the latest peak minor wave W peak at 114.66. That should act as a resistance level. After that, 114 psychological level is on the downside, the support level. So I would still hold on this pair, look for opportunity to confirm the turn lower, and then would go short. And if this wave count is correct, there should be a large move to the downside and a lot of good opportunities to gain some profits. Let's move on to the Japanese yen, US dollar, Japanese yen, and the price now 119.15. We are more or less on a sideways correction. Volatility has been high and this might be, the correction might be over and we might head lower still on this pair. I have labeled waves 1 to 4 as completed on this minute wave 3 downturn, and the Monday's spectacular decline was the wave 3, which is usually the strongest. Key levels on dollar yen are that resistance level is 120.4, this minute wave 1 low, and support on the downside 118.23, and my wave count says that this has turned down and is long-term bearish. Still unconfirmed because the decline was so powerful, it's hard to say that, but they're starting to look like a 5-wave structure to the downside. Of course, this can be a C wave. C waves are 5-wave structures, so at this point it is not crystal clear to say what is in fact the correct labeling here. This can be a 3-wave structure from the latest high 125.845 if I remember correctly. So from that high we see a larger 3-wave structure. This can be wave 4, and we should then get one more larger wave to the upside. So still at this point difficult to say for sure. I have labeled this as bearish move, but it can be a C wave, and if this is a correct analysis, then we should get one more wave down and then a larger move up to complete this whole large uptrend. Let's move to pound dollar, and pound dollar is back around the levels of the large sideways range. We are now 156.92, looking bearish. The latest bearish move is quite strong looking, and key levels in pound dollar are 1572 is the next upside key level, acting as resistance level, and 156.3 is acting as support on the downside. And on the daily chart it looks like there is possibly a triangle on this wave position. I have talked about this before. This is quite complex looking, this latest price action, actually dating back almost full 2 months now. The price action from latest month and a half has been quite complex, so hard to say. But usually when there is 2 weak currencies, then the structure gets very complex because neither of those currencies will take the lead and move on either direction or up or down. So this is what has been happening here for a while. Both currencies, pound and dollar, has been very weak and not much progress has been made here. So if there's triangle formation in this pair, this should turn down after we have completed this leg. I haven't labeled this on my charts yet, but perhaps I will do that later today, because this wave labeling I have now isn't quite satisfactory to reflect this structure, so I need to do something about this labeling. But there are no trades, in my opinion, still in this pair. I wouldn't go long or short on this, because this is very limited range. This has been on quite a while now, so no trading opportunities in pound dollar. Next is euro pound, and similar price action here than in euro USD. We saw a decline yesterday, then a powerful move higher. My wave labeling here is that we are possibly ended wave 4 and maybe need a one more wave higher to complete the structure in euro pound, and then would turn down for one more larger wave, 5-wave structure to the downside. Euro pound has key levels that the downside support is 0.7256 area. Those are the recent few peaks. And on the upside, 7379 would be the resistance, and this has been quite strong a resistance level before. Same thing here, I would not trade this at this point. I would stand aside and look for this turn lower if it has already happened, or if we get one more push higher beyond the latest peak, which was Monday and is at 74213 is the peak. If we get one more push higher than that, and then we turn lower, or if it has already happened, if there's correlation on euro USD, and then the turn has possibly already happened. So I would look for confirmation on this reversal before making any trading decisions on this pair. Next is euro yen, and we have had a bearish price action in euro yen, quite overlapping is this latest decline, and hard to figure out if we are still on a B wave correction or has this already turned and is forming a larger minor wave C to the downside. Key levels on euro yen are that 137.27 is the immediate resistance on the upside, 137.07 on the downside is the support next. So quite near are some key levels on euro yen. There is more downside. This is so overlapping that there's a lot of peaks that can be interpreted as resistance and support levels. And maybe if we want to see more important levels, need to check the daily chart. There's 136.69 is one level that has held quite nicely as a resistance and a support level. So perhaps this is one important level. Also one level lower is 135.83. This has been one also. So those levels are on the downside. If this is going to the downside, if the turn has happened and the B wave is finished, then this should head down towards new lows. First target would be 133.3 approximately are the two peaks, the latest two lower peaks, and eventually to new midterm lows. 126 is the low of the C wave and the low of the latest mid-term low. So downside expected here, not necessarily a trading opportunity, but look for decent structure to the downside, and perhaps there is opportunity to start the trade if there's a confirmation that this has turned lower for minute wave C. Pound yen next, and here the downturn seems to have continued. We could still be on a corrective phase. The decline on Monday and last week was so rapid that there's hardly any wave divisions on this first decline. So hard to say if there's a wave 1 somewhere along that decline, but this is definitely a corrective pause which we are in now. The pound yen has come down from yesterday's highs quite a lot. Yesterday we got up to 189.98 and now we are 186.88, so there's over 300 pip drop since yesterday. So volatility is still quite high on these yen pairs. Maybe the Asian markets are breaking down. In China and in Japan there's big problems in the stock market, so maybe this is evidence for something much severe and larger on those countries and Asia in general. Key levels in pound yen are that small upside resistance around 189.38, on the downside 186.27 is the immediate support level on the downside. Wave count, I haven't labeled these wave divisions yet. My wave count is proposing that the larger downturn has started. So when we get a decent 5-wave structure to the downside, then there is more confirmation on that the reversal has happened and we are going to make a larger bear market in pound yen. I wouldn't necessarily trade this yet, since the volatility is high and it is uncertain that if we are already turned lower or if there's going to be another wave down and more complex correction is forming. Next is Euro Canadian. Yesterday we declined from the highs and now we are at 153.52. And in my opinion, if this wave count is correct, there isn't much room to go higher, and we should start a larger decline. Monday was the high and it went almost to the levels of the previous primary wave B high, which dates back to March 2014. So if this level breaks, then the whole wave structure on that point or even further way back needs to be revised, and the whole structure that I have labeled from that needs to be revised. So interesting to see if we get still new highs in Euro Canadian and break that old level, and need to figure out what is this wave count really. So key levels on Euro Canadian, this has turned down in my opinion, and immediate resistance is the high 154.3 and next support on the downside is 152.3. So minor wave C, minor wave Y and intermediate wave 2 peak would be, in my opinion, the Monday high, which is at 155.61 approximately, and the decline from that peak should be the start of a larger impulsive wave down. Finally, we have US dollar Canadian, and still we are making new highs. My labeling is that we are on corrective wave B and forming an expanded flat corrective structure on minute wave 4 position here. We should get a turn down and end up eventually below this 128.6 level, which is the previous impulsive wave, fourth wave position. But let's see if this still makes new highs. Key levels are that the downside next support is the third wave high 132.12 and 133.8 is the 161.8% retracement level, which is a retracement of the previous decline from 132.12 towards the A wave low, which is 129.5. So a 161.8% retracement of that level would be the 133.8, which is quite near. We have almost touched that level. The high is 133.5, so really close, and we might get still one more push towards that level before turning down to complete this minute wave 4 correction. Okay, that's all for today's episode. Visit the show notes at ForexDayBreak.com/14 and you can leave your comments on that page. Remember that this podcast is also recorded as video and will be much more clear to follow this analysis on that video. You can find that at ForexDayBreak.com on the members area. Now, thanks for listening. Go make some profits, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thanks for your interest in Forex Daybreak Daily Podcast. If you like this show, we hope you'll visit our website, www.ForexDayBreak.com, and tell your friends about us. Be sure to check the show notes on our website for this episode. Join us next time for another episode of Forex Daybreak.